Howdy, welcome to my channel. Today we will be creating a spinner card with an airplane and some clouds, just a bit of stamping. So let's begin. I am creating this card as part of my Dies R Us design team project. In the Dies R Us shop you will find dies that are quite similar to the ones that I am using today. This is going to be our card front, and that's of course our card base. So to start out, we're going to take our card front and we are going to bring in a stencil, some ink, and I like to use my Make Art Station when I'm working with stencils. Once we're done with the stencil portion, we will bring this die cut out, and we will use one of these to help us figure out where our airplane is going to be traveling. When I use a stencil to make the clouds, I like to bring in my round sponge, which I've cut into portions, roughly about 6 portions. And then I like to grab my ink and sort of brush it over the stenciled area. If this is your first time to my channel, there's a video here that shows how I created the stencil using a different die cut. I will link that in the description box below. Now that we're done with creating our cloudy background, we're going to bring in our spinner die cuts. These will help us make our spinner card. The great thing about these die cuts is that they come with this piece right here, which actually will make the circles that we will be using with our plain die cut to help us create the spinning portion. These just create the sections where the spinning portion happens. I think this is a good section to put it in, but I'm going to bring in the T-square and some washi tape to help me secure this die cut in place. The T-square is going to help me to position the die cut, and the washi tape is going to help me ensure that it doesn't shift while we're using it. So now we have the portion cut where our airplane will be running through. Next, we need to die cut our airplane and the spinner portions. For our airplane, I grabbed some paper scraps that we're going to be using today. Now, as far as the spinner portions, they can be whatever color you want to use. We're going to use the blue since we're already going to use the blue to make our little decorative portions of our airplane. Isn't that plane just super cute? We're going to bring in our two-in-one to help us poke these little circles out. Now the reason we're using the little circles is because our airplane is too big to use a dime or a penny to hold it and use for the spinner portion. But the blue die cut is just the right size. So we've created our airplane and we've cut all the little decorative pieces for our airplane. Now we just have to attach them onto our airplane, and we also need to put the spinner back behind our airplane, and then we just stick it in here. So that means we can bring our card base back in. And we're going to bring in some adhesive, because we're going to need that to help us attach the components, the small components that go onto our airplane. A tool I like to use when working with such small die cuts is actually this jewel picker, because it holds on to the paper as well. An easier way to glue these pieces would be to use our Xyron. I like to use the Xyron before I die cut, but we didn't do that today. Now we just have to put the last few pieces onto our airplane. We do need some foam tape to go on our little spinner piece. We're going to use these 3D foam dots from Close to My Heart to do that. And we're just going to pop it there. And so now we're going to use the 3M foam tape to help us lift our card front for our card base. And we just grab a pair of scissors to cut our foam tape. And then we're going to stick it all over the back of our card front, bearing in mind that we need to leave room for the die cut to still spin. But we don't want to give it any extra room. I'm thinking we're going to need to cut a bigger circle for the back of this piece. Mostly because we want to make sure that our die cut doesn't fall out of our spinner card. Working with a spinner card is similar to creating a shaker card, in that you need to make sure that there is enough foam tape in all the areas that you need it. Now that the backing's all taken off of this, we need to go back in and put more foam tape on, because this foam tape is thicker than this foam tape. So that will work out nicely once we put a larger backing for this portion of our spinner. For that, we can actually bring in a dime. The dime would work really well. So you take your little spinner element portion, and then we already put adhesive on the back of our dime. Then you just glue the dime onto the back of your spinner, and as far as this goes, this area is a little too close, so we're gonna have to move that a little because it messes up our spinning area. That's not good. But that's part of the thing when you work with a spinner card. You need to make sure that you don't have foam in areas you don't need it in. Okay, it's coming along. It'll look much better once we actually have it all together. But so far it looks really good. So now I like to bring in my stamp platform to help me get the card front and the card base evenly aligned. We don't need our magnets for that, but we do need to stick our card base in here and make sure that sometimes I like to put an arrow so I know that that's the front, well, that's the top rather than the bottom, because it has happened where I've glued the card front upside down, and that's no fun. So again, we're just going to bring in our tool-in-one to help us remove all the rest of this adhesive backing because we don't need it. Is make sure that we're no longer stuck to the card front, but instead we want to take the card base and the card front. I like to use the stamping platform and then just stick them on top, stick the card front on top of the base. That way it's nice and smooth. The only downside is, depending on how you look at this die cut card, is that you may notice the dime in there. If I thought about it, I probably would have just die cut another piece of paper instead, but I don't actually mind it because I know that coins actually make it a little bit more sturdy, so I'm okay with it. Or you could always think of it as this silver lining in your clouds, you know? And to stick the sentiment on, we're going to actually die cut a cloud and then stamp on that die cut. Then we'll place that on top of our card base. I'm gonna die cut the clouds, and since we didn't do that earlier on our die cut machine, we're going to use our small die cut machine to die cut the cloud for us. Whenever I make a card and it has a cloudy background, I like to die cut clouds and use them for the sentiment. So here are some more cloud die cuts. For this, I just like to stick the washi tape on top so I know where it is when I need to use the machine again. And we're going to scatter the die cuts around. We're going to use the 3M foam tape again to pop our clouds up, and we'll do that also for this one that'll have the sentiment on it, but we won't do that until we've got our sentiment stamped on it. So we're going to sort of scatter our clouds so they don't all look, so they kind of look like they're actually a proper scene rather than die cuts. At least that's the effect we're going to go for. If you wanted to, you could take this piece that we cut from this die cut cloud and put it in another section, but I'm not going to do that today. And now we need to stamp our sentiment on here. So we are going to take our little die cut cloud and we are going to place it. Sometimes for this I like to bring in my tape runner and just secure it just slightly, just enough so that it doesn't really budge, because there's not technically that much room for us to actually place our magnet on this die cut. Then we're going to place our sentiment on there. Oh wait, I think we're going to do it a different way. I think we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it upside down, because this sentiment strip is very, it's like, it fits there for sure, but it's not we have to kind of maneuver it. So we're going to grab some black ink because I want the sentiment to be noticed. Then we're going to grab our microfiber cloth to help smooth out what we're stamping. Now, there you go. And our sentiment says, buzzing by to just say hi. It's a little crooked, but I think that's okay because it's a homemade card after all. Now we can bring in our foam tape and tape the back of this, because I want to pop the sentiment up, just like we popped up the other clouds. Make sure that it's square. Now we have this super cute card that, oh, let's see if we can get it to do the spinny stuff. Not exactly, but kind of. It might also be that this die cut is a bit long. It's basically almost as long as the area that it would actually be spinning in, so that might also be part of it for why this isn't exactly spinning, but it still looks really cute. And it still sort of spins. So if I had to do this card again, I would probably have run these blue pieces through the Xyron and actually die cut a bigger circle rather than just sticking the dime in. But otherwise, I'm really happy with how it turned out. In the description box below, I will have links to similar die cuts, as the die cuts I used today are retired. So in the description box below, I will have links to where you can find similar dies to these in the Dies R Us shop. I hope y'all stay safe, stay healthy, stay crafty. If you like what you saw, click the like button. If you have any questions, click the comment button, which is right below the description box. And if you'd like to see future videos from me, click the subscribe button. Hope y'all have a great day. Bye.